audience, so I'm going to assume that you all are there. So my name is Bridget Jones. I am the founder of Chiseled Technologies. We're a software company based in Washington, D.C. We also hold offices in Miami, Florida. And so I want to talk to you today about money. So a few notes. I just want to go over about 4 quick little definitions for you. Runway. So anyone that's interested in raising outside capital legitimately needs to understand what it means to be able to survive and also thrive in business. So runway is the amount of money that that you have inside of your company to help you sustain yourself over time. We're also going to go over CAC. So CAC is customer acquisition cost. This is the amount of money that it takes in order to get somebody to pay you. LOI are letters of interest or letters of intent. We'll go over that briefly. ROIs, you may have heard these terms before. Is the return on your investment. It's a ratio between your net income and the investments on the return. So a high ROI means these are the gains, the gain returns that are favorable to investment. So what am I talking about here? Even though we just went over these definitions really quickly, I think it's really important to understand how to calculate these things. So investors are really interested in one main thing, and that's how can I get my money back? So when when you are receiving capital, outside capital, it's important to really be organized and to document properly every single thing that you're spending, every single thing that you're bringing in. How to calculate operational runway, typically for SaaS companies, software as a service companies, or companies that bill on any like subscription basis, think Netflix per month, or think like your Florida Power and Light, for example, that's billing every single month on like a consistent basis. This is being able to take calculate all that money in, how much you need in order to pay your employees, and how much extra money is coming into a savings. So typically for SaaS companies, they say, and by they I'm talking about analysts, financial analysts like Merrill Lynch, they say typically companies need to have about 18 to 22 months of operational runway. So if you are selling a service or you're offering a product at one base rate, the best way to do that is to offer multiple streams or multiple lines of products that generating revenue so that you can actually have enough savings, assuming that if something were to ever happen to your team, for you to literally be able to run that business for about 1.5 years. Now, customer acquisition cost is, think of what does it take for you in order to get somebody to buy your product or service. So let's say, for example, I want to go into the water company, right? And I want to sell Deer Park or Zephyr Hills water, right? In order for me to sell this water, I must first be able to, and get somebody to actually get this bottle of water from me. I must first be able to calculate the amount of manufacturing and bottling expenses. I have to calculate, the amount to purify that water. I have to calculate how much I have to spend in marketing. And I also, have to look at all of those things and say, all right, so if it might take me something like, and I'm just spitballing numbers here because I'm not actually in the water industry, like $100,000 before I can get the first person to pay me, let's say 50 cents for this bottle of water, right? And so if you were, trying to, generate large sums of money, like the water company, for example, you'd have to first be able to say, I first need $100,000 before I could, get my first dollar. So for those that are not going to start with hundreds of thousands of dollars, there are tons of ways to get money before you can get to that point. And the best way that you can get money is from outside investors is to be able to show or prove that somebody actually wants your stuff, right? So assuming that I wanted to go to an investor and say, hey, listen, I want you to give me $100,000 so that I can begin to generate capital off of, millions of bottles of water across the country. What you could do is you could, first build up like a small little team, speak to as many people as you can and say, let's say I spoke to about 10,000 people and 10,000 people have already said, hey, you know what, I want to buy your water specifically. They would write you a letter of interest stating that, hey, if you had a water, that was made with biodegradable plastic, I would absolutely buy it from you. If your water can, allow me to, be refreshed and have all these health benefits, then I would do it for you. Generating letters of interest, that's sort of like confirmation that the investor, they're signaling to the investor that you are someone that has like a customer or client base waiting in line, and they feel a little bit more confident about investing with you. So ROIs, because investors are not the same as philanthropists. These are folks that are trying to make money with you. They're going to want to know that if you this $100,000 to, to make, how much money can I make off of you? So if I say, all right, so give me this $100,000, I am going to turn around and take that $100,000 and make $1 million. So that return would then be 10x. You're likely to secure that. $100,000 investment. All right, so when we're talking about things outside of water, whether it's a service or your business, you do not need to have a finished product at all in order to generate capital or to raise funding, not even a little bit. What you need is you just need to have some sort of evidence that you can actually make money and make money grow. So the first things to really consider is to identify what sort of resources or assets you have in your world. And so resources and assets would be, your family, your friends, your cousins, your churches. Literally write down, you could create like a list of every single thing inside your world that has value. So even if it's something as simple as, hey, I go out to work and I have my husband is a stay-at-home husband. That is an asset, right? Because that is someone that's taking care of household expenses that you don't have to, right? So there is a monetary value associated to those chores and those tasks. That's an asset, right? Assets are people. They are intangible things. They are intangible things. Intangible assets would be like, hey, I am out here hustling and grinding, building this business, but I have a group of friends that are my support system that I can actually go to, that's going to help me stay balanced throughout this journey. That's an intangible asset. There is something really dangerous about building a company completely by yourself. We are human beings. We are not machines. So it is, if something were to ever, happen to you, want to know that your money is still working for you. It's still going to be coming in. So it's really important to work in teams. And I know that sometimes there is a question of trust. Hey, I have a product. I want to protect my product. I came up with this idea or this concept. I don't want to share or anything like that. The reality of it is that, when outside investors are interested in funding individuals, they want to fund individuals that can prove that they can work in teams, because you are the brand, you are the business. So if you have that type of mindset, it may be a good deal. It may be a good idea to begin to work through and unpack and completely change that all together. That's not going to work for you, fam. Now, here's what I am saying. There are a lot of solo businesses that do work. We are in 2021 where we have influencers, we have, you have experts, you have individuals that have taken ride sharing companies and turned those into a profitable ventures, but there's still other people around that you may not be able to see. Like, for example, your lawyers, your accountants, they're on your team, right? There's no such thing as a completely one person show that is profitable where that person's not about to pass out, right? looking to the future, when you are creating a business or interested in generating capital, or interested in making significantly more, we talked a little bit about planning and organization and documenting these things. You want to be able to create like a roadmap. So a roadmap, hey, I am in stage A. And in stage A, I have, these assets, I have these ideas, I may have this design, I may have, these particular things in place, but I want to get to, step B. So in order for me to get from step A to step B, you want to write down every single thing that it is going to take for you to do that. When you begin to organize your business and your company in this particular type of way, it makes it a lot easier for you to manage it and be able to hit those milestones. And also when you are having conversations with investors to raise outside capital, you look like you know what you're doing, right? So we talked about the assets specifically in your world. We talked about the dangers of really working a business completely by yourself. We talked about looking to the future, but also we are connected to ecosystems, right? So if you showed up here today, you're already a part of a mini ecosystem, the PowerLink Business ecosystem. So Catrice, that hosted the event, is connected to various resources. So there's a thing called networking, right? So we really do, especially as melanated business owners, we work better together than alone. So you want to really get a chance to know who are the people around you, who are the people in your spaces, who are the people that you can have a conversation with, that you can reach, that you can access. COVID actually made this process significantly easier than it has ever been in history. The fact that we now have many groups that now meet up on Zooms on a consistent basis means that you can begin to map out all of your additional assets inside of your world and beyond, to say, hey, you know what? I may not have someone on my team that's a digital marketer, but I do have someone in my ecosystem that can help me grow, and we can work together. Now, there is an archetype for the type of businesses that are typically fundable or not, and we can kind of get into the different types of funding a little bit later, but generally speaking, this is it right here. So investors, they use all types of different methods in order to determine whether or not they should invest in you. There's Berkshire model, the risk summation model. On the screen, this is something called a comparison factor. So these are specific things that investors are looking for to score you. So whenever you are applying for funding or for a pitch competition, in the back of their head or on a sheet of paper, they're literally looking at the strength of your team. So if you have a team of, let's say you are the founder, they want to know, are you as a founder a specialist in the business that you've created? Your team, how strong is your developer? How strong is your CFO? Does your CFO have experience working in the vertical or industry that you're building in? The size of the opportunity. Remember, we said investors are not philanthropists. They're not interested in just giving their money away. They want to make money with you, right? So how big is this opportunity? Let's say I came up with this idea of Uber for cats, right? I don't know, maybe that is a market, but if I am, offering like a Uber for cats in an area where people don't generally drive, and I don't have any sort of plans to scale, the size of the opportunity may not be large enough for someone to be interested in you. So a couple of things can happen. Either you can, scratch the idea, or you can up and relocate to an area where the opportunity is bigger, or you could change the idea or expand the idea to say, hey, maybe this is an Uber for pets, or maybe this is an Uber for pet medicine or something like that, right? The product or technology that you're making is also relatively significant. So in our world, in business, competition is one of the best indicators of market validation, right? So you may have heard from a lot of folks in the startup world, in the ecosystem world, that being first to market is gold, right? And it is to a certain extent. It is gold in the sense of you're new and you're novel. It is challenging in the sense of, if you're creating something that's never been done before, there is no proof that it's going to work. If you have created a product that has been done before and you may have added an additional spin to it or twist, at least there's market validation that there is people interested in paying for that service. Your own individual go-to-market strategy and sales process is significant, because you could have the best type of product or business in the world, but if no one wants to buy it from you, that doesn't, you're not really likely to get a lot of support from investors, right? And that's just the real. Partnerships are also a real thing. So, if you're new in a particular type of industry or area and you decide to partner with someone that has heavier weight than you in that particular area, you are likely to get better returns. So I'll share a real story. So I've been in software for about 5 years. I'm a self-taught engineer. I was a law school student at Nova Southeastern University down in Davie, Florida. And I dropped out of school and I started a tech company. I was really interested in making an impact in real people's lives without the barriers of bureaucracy and red tape. However, as a self-taught engineer, I know how to build products really, really well, but I wasn't necessarily strong with business development or how to necessarily get large-scale contracts. So on my fundraising journey, I got to a place where, hey, I raised $100,000 and then I ran out of money. And it's like, oh my goodness, how did this happen? Well, when you begin to think, well, engineers typically, they charge, between $85 and $125 an hour, and designers charge this, and marketers charge this, and market research charge, these are costs associated with that. What I decided to do was I partnered with a company much larger than I was in the state of Georgia, and we increased our operational runway significantly. So with that partnership, that brought my team an additional $210,000 to keep moving forward. Those types of things matter significantly. It's not really about working hard, but it is about working diligently and smart about what it is that you're trying to do. So, I personally talked to a couple of angels and one VC about, what is the archetype of a business that you would likely fund in, that, what are the non-monetary aspects of that business? And these were some of the quotes that they gave me directly. So Gangels is, they are a pre-seed angel investment network. So they fund small scale companies that have not generated a lot of capital or traction yet, but companies with really, really good ideas and founders with extremely large visions. They care about, how big is this vision? Do you want to create something that's going to impact 5 people, or are you going to create something that's going to impact the world? Are you humble? Are you honest? Being ethical in this world is is vital, right? And it's almost a shame that more people don't see this as something that's natural. I know you guys know about shady business dealings and practices. Those types of things, they don't really make you attractive when you're trying to raise capital, though. Even though you can make money quickly doing some dark or illicit things, it doesn't really take you very far. And, so I spoke to Acceleprise, Ray Tran there, the investor. She cares a lot about, again, are you thoughtful? Are you intentional? And so an example of that would be, let's say you are, you're creating some sort of product consumption management software like a Hulu, right? What are you doing with people's data, right? Are you selling their data to third parties? If you are you letting your users know that's what you're planning to do with their data? Are you ethical? I spoke with Kelly Jones a couple of weeks ago. Kelly Jones is in Northern California. Outside of the money aspect, she cares about, are you as an individual founder believable? Do people like you? Do you ask questions? Can you be coached? If you are, the type of individual where, people can't really get through to you, or you have so much pride to where you're fixated on an idea, you're not willing to move, people generally don't want to work with you. And I'm just going to be very straightforward about it. I spoke with Charles over at Brooklyn Bridge Ventures also a couple of weeks ago. And, he cares a lot about, before you come to him, did you research who he was? Do you think about, who's in their portfolio? Who's in their portfolio, meaning, are you creating a product that will be a competitor to somebody that they're already working with? Can he trust you? If you're creating a hair care product, do you know anything about hair at all? Candace Brekeen over at the VC firm Lightship Capital in South Florida, she wants to invest squarely in the type of founder that can run through a brick wall. Can you overcome obstacles? And can you come out successfully? Or if you experience a challenge, do you fold and just quit? If you are the type of person that can go and keep going, even when things get hard, even when your money's low, even when your team members quit, even when, it's raining outside and we got, a hurricane bad as Hurricane Andrew back in 92, can you still keep going? This is the archetype of the type of people that will make it out here and make it well. And by make it out here, I'm talking about making it in these fundraising streets. So there are a couple of really inexpensive ways to no longer work in silos or to enlarge your team. Direct, right off the bat, unpaid interns. So in the state of Florida alone, Career Source, they offer 5-week internships where the state of Florida will pay your interns about $10 an hour to come and work for you full time. You can do quite a bit with that if you train them properly for your business. Also, there is a resource called Flick. So Flick is specifically for Black and brown women-owned companies that are interested in making some sort of social impact in the world. So they typically charge about $50 a month or $600 a year. And what they do is they give you access to 12 interns to come and work for you. They have already committed to working for free for a period of 90 days. Fiverr and Upwork, these are ways where you can find specialists, in graphic designers. You can find content writers and creators. Networking, of course. Networking, for the most part, is free unless you go to an event where, there is a cost associated to that. But if there is a cost associated to that, you want to make sure you're getting your money's worth. Are you talking to as many people as you possibly can? You got to go with an agenda. Additionally to networking, there's also commission-based employees. I'm talking about salespeople, right? So not everyone that's out here working is generating a profit, right? Right off the bat, initially. If you've ever heard of sales teams where individuals are paid based off of commission, they're paid based off of performance. You could absolutely take a model, create a structure that incentivizes people to be able to get what you want, and then they can get what they want also. So there are a lot of ways you can get loopholes to kind of like boost up the valuation of your company. So I personally come from an insurance background where my father and all 4 of my brothers and sisters are all licensed insurance agents. So there is something called a key man insurance or a key person's insurance. This is insurance on personnel. So you can literally buy an insurance policy on yourself and make your business the beneficiary. You instantly have value in something that may not necessarily hold value. The insurance policy itself now gives you the value of the policy. Partnerships are ways that you can, in inexpensive ways that you can increase or up your valuation to make you look a lot stronger out here in these fundraising streets. So remember when I was sharing with you a little bit earlier that, hey, when we got to the space where we ran out of money, I went after my network and I had some real honest conversations and I, made some pitches and I ended up partnering with another company. My valuation doubled as a result of that particular partnership. Additional revenue. So if you do other businesses or have other services, those are things that will up your valuation. For example, one of the clients that we just brought on recently for our tech company, she works in media. She actually works for one of the large stations, and she came to us to build out a booking app. It's a brilliant app. She also charges for consulting fees. So those consulting fees, she actually put under the same company name to up her valuation, and it worked for her. There are a lot of non-obvious revenue streams out here. So, I'm not going to go over things, things that you already know, like the different types of investors, like, obviously you can ask your family and friends and network, but if you have a product that already exists, you can absolutely execute a paid pilot. This is a part of beta testing, right? So paid pilots, these are individuals that are using your platform as you continue to edit and, revise it, or folks that are, I'm not quite sure if you can apply paid pilots to like physical products, but at least in software, you certainly can. They're paying you consistently to build a product that's specifically customized for their business. Software credits. A lot of these major corporations, Google and Amazon, they give away credits that you can use to build software that will that serve as they have a monetary value. That's an income stream. So for example, let's say you sign up for a program that's an incubator, and as a part of that reward, you get, 5,000 AWS credits. When you are getting ready to put something on the market, then you have to pay for technical debt, which is, hosting and server fees and APIs and stuff like that. Those credits will absolutely come in hand. And then there's general bartering. Hey, I have absolutely no money whatsoever, but I can do this thing for you. Can you please do this thing for me? So also, I really think that it's significant to really talk about self-care in fundraising. Fundraising is so much about mindset, and it is also so much about intentionally factoring in your ability to rest. I know that kind of goes against what we've been taught as business owners, to hustle and hustle and hustle and hustle. But we really aren't machines, and we fall apart and we get sick. And when those things, and when we aren't going to take the necessary breaks, we already know that the body keeps the score and takes those breaks for us. So, it can be really demanding, but just make sure that you're factoring in your rest, or at least have some sort of plan in place where, let's say you want to take off Friday. So for me, I only work half days on Fridays because Monday through Thursday, I put in so much. I put an intern in my place for that other half a day, so we're not missing anything. There's a lot of different areas and directions that we could go into, but if anyone out there in the audience has any questions, I am, more than willing and happy to answer about any of these areas, about how to really navigate through fundraising. Are there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? I think everybody is jelly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bridget. Your information is really powerful. We will be definitely airing it again so that people can hear some of the things that are going to be said, bits and pieces of it anyway. And Bridget's information is on the screen. And if you're interested, she's registered. So the people that are sponsors will get access to her information. If you would like to contact her, you can contact me and I'll patch you through. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you so much, Patrice.